The United States of America, a land celebrated for its freedom, opportunity, and democracy, is a nation that built its reputation on justice and progress, on dreams that inspired generations. But behind this proud image lies another reality, a darker one that few dare to speak about. Beneath the shiny monuments, the patriotic speeches, and the promises of equality, there exists a world of secrets that shape the nation's destiny in ways history books rarely reveal. These are the untold chapters, the dark secrets of America. Every empire hides its shadows, and America is no exception. Some of its deepest secrets were not born on battlefields, but in quiet laboratories, hidden offices, and sealed rooms where ethics were replaced by ambition. During the Cold War, when fear of communism gripped the nation, the government began a series of secret psychological experiments. They tested the limits of human behavior, experimenting on soldiers, hospital patients, and sometimes ordinary citizens without their consent. In these secret programs, drugs like LSD were used to manipulate the human mind. Files were destroyed, data was falsified, and those responsible were protected by the veil of national security. It was a time when the human soul became a tool, and morality was a price too easily paid. Behind the scenes, another invisible power structure began to grow, a system that many later called the deep state. It wasn't fiction. It was bureaucracy, intelligence, and influence operating beneath democracy's surface. The creation of powerful agencies like the CIA and NSA after World War II gave rise to an unprecedented network of surveillance and control. Presidents came and went, but this machinery remained, quietly shaping policies, funding secret missions, and manipulating foreign governments in the name of freedom. Assassinations, election interference, and hidden wars became part of a pattern that few outside the system could see. The deeper one looked, the clearer it became. In the land of liberty, secrecy was often the real law. While intelligence agencies played their games, other institutions committed sins far more personal. Across America, in orphanages, reform schools, and indigenous boarding schools, thousands of children suffered in silence. They were beaten, humiliated, and stripped of their identities, all under the watchful eye of the state and church. Indigenous children were taken from their families and forced to forget their language, their culture, and even their names. In places like the Red Cloud Indian School or the infamous orphanages of New Orleans, survivors would later tell horrifying stories of abuse, starvation, and neglect. The people who were supposed to protect them became their worst nightmares. And while the victims grew up scarred, the institutions moved on, their crimes buried in silence. The darkness didn't stop at home. America's reach extended across the globe, where it shaped and reshaped entire nations, often in secret. During the Cold War, the U.S. publicly presented itself as the defender of democracy, but privately supported coups, assassinations, and military takeovers. Governments were overthrown in Iran, Guatemala, and Chile, not because they were unjust, but because they opposed American interests. Operation Condor in South America led to torture, disappearances, and thousands of deaths, all in the name of stability. The pattern was always the same: protect power, no matter the cost. Millions suffered, while the story of freedom continued to shine for the world to see. At home, the rise of surveillance became the new face of control. It started small, with FBI files and phone taps, but grew into a massive machine of observation. Under J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI built secret archives on citizens, activists, and political leaders. They watched Martin Luther King Jr., recorded private conversations, and sought to silence anyone who challenged the system. Later, new technology would make surveillance even easier. Satellites, cameras, and data networks turned privacy into a myth. Today, digital surveillance watches more than any human agency ever could. Every phone call, every click, every location is stored somewhere, unseen yet never forgotten. The idea of freedom has never been more visible or more monitored. Power in America isn't just political, it's economic. Behind every decision, a web of corporations and lobbyists shaped the nation's fate. In the 20th century, industrial giants and oil empires worked hand in hand with politicians, building influence through wealth. They spied on labor unions, sabotaged protests, and funded propaganda to protect their interests. Whistleblowers were fired or silenced. Environmental disasters were covered up, from poisoned rivers to toxic waste buried near towns. Even today, many corporations hide their crimes behind complex legal shields. Money can buy silence, and in America, silence often means safety for those in power. The media, once the watchdog of democracy, became another battlefield of control. During wars, journalists were fed filtered information. During political crises, networks chose sides. Even entertainment was shaped to maintain certain narratives, stories that glorified power and softened the edges of truth. Propaganda evolved into storytelling, and storytelling became national identity. The real danger wasn't always lies, it was omission, the stories that were never told, the facts that disappeared before they reached the public. A nation that controls its narrative can rewrite its sins, and America became a master at rewriting. Among the most haunting stories of all are those that took place in the heart of its own communities, like the orphanages of New Orleans. Hope Haven and Madonna Manor were once seen as sanctuaries for children in need. But survivors later revealed that these institutions were places of horror, of abuse, silence, and unending trauma. Many of the victims were as young as 7 or 8 years old. Their testimonies told of fear that lasted a lifetime. And when they spoke out years later, the church and the state fought to protect themselves rather than the truth. One survivor called the orphanage a crime scene that no one wanted to see. It became a symbol of America's greatest hypocrisy, preaching morality while hiding monstrosity. As the decades passed, secrecy evolved, but never disappeared. The Cold War ended, but the culture of control remained. Today, the battlefield has shifted from the physical to the digital. Data has become the new weapon, collected, analyzed, and sold. Artificial intelligence predicts behavior, social media shapes opinions, and privacy has become a currency few can afford. The same principles that once justified surveillance now justify algorithms that manipulate what people see, buy, and believe. The tools have changed, but the objective is the same: to know, to influence, to control. These secrets matter because they reveal the truth about power. Every hidden experiment, every silenced voice, every covered-up scandal exposes a pattern: the willingness to sacrifice transparency for dominance. When governments and corporations hide behind a veil of secrecy, democracy suffers. The victims may be forgotten, but the wounds remain. The child silenced in an orphanage, the activist spied on, the citizen misled by propaganda, all of them are part of the same story. Confronting these secrets is not an attack on America, it is an act of love for truth. True patriotism means the courage to question, to hold leaders accountable, and to ensure that freedom applies to all, not just the powerful. To understand America's greatness, one must also face its failures. The shadows don't erase the light, they reveal where it shines unevenly. So the next time you see the flag waving proudly, remember that it represents both triumph and tragedy. The dark secrets of America are not meant to destroy its image, but to complete it, to remind us that freedom is not a gift, but a responsibility. A nation that hides its past cannot protect its future. The truth may be uncomfortable, but it is the only path to redemption. Because in the end, every empire is measured not by its power, but by its honesty. And the story of America, for all its brilliance and contradiction, is still being written. The only question is, will we have the courage to write it truthfully?